Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive Talking Nerd, John Norgrove. We've got Wife here, and we're doing a review Jive, but it's not a movie this time. This time we're doing Andy Weir's newest novel, Artemis, which is arguably Ocean's 11 on the moon.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of do this in two parts. First, spoiler free, no spoilers, and then we're gonna go through a spoiler section and then spoilers. So it's real straightforward. We've done it before, probably.
Maybe.
Whatever. All right. So first up, so it was written by Andy Weir. We listened to it via Audible, and the Audible audiobook, just in case there's another one out there, is read by Rosario Dawson.
Which is fantastic.
Who does an absolutely fantastic job.
She's so good.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, what did you think of the book?
It was so good. It was very enveloping. I got into the story very quickly. There was a lot of technical stuff that they talked about, but Andy Weir has this magical gift to make it seem like it's not actually that difficult because I'm not a very mathy or sciencey person. I'm so pretty.
She's not mathy or sciencey, no.
So I actually really liked that he made the science not droll and boring or too high end for like a regular person to understand. Rosario Dawson's voicing for it was fantastic, and it sucked me right in. She definitely would be Jazz Bashara, so it was fantastic to listen to her do something like that.
Yeah, she did an absolutely phenomenal job. It's a really, really well written book. So I've read The Martian and watched the movie, and it's in my opinion, it's very on par with The Martian. I will be furious if he doesn't get a movie deal out of this.
Oh my god, this would be such a great movie.
Yeah, they really should make it. And it really wouldn't even be that fucking difficult because the whole book takes place on the moon, except for at the end of every chapter.
Yeah. She
does this little back and forth thing with a pen pal that she's been friends with since she was like 6 from Kenya. So like they would need one set that kind of looks like Kenya.
Or just a dude in a house.
Yeah, or just a dude in a house.
Like, maybe they need multiple actors. It'd be
poor.
Cool if they did, like...
When he's a kid.
If they did, like, children, and, each flashback, they would
have to do, like, kids and stuff like that. Because those just sort of build up... Those are, like, character development moments. Yeah. So they do a really good job with that. But, yeah, so, like, I mean... I doubt the kid grew up in, like, a mud hut or something like that. But he sounded like he was super poor.
Yeah, they were very
and
poor.
Stuff like that. But they could bang out, like, 5 sets in a sound room, and that would be more than sufficient. Because it's just like a kid reading a thing. In all reality, they could just have a voice actor do it, and it'd just be a voiceover. But it'd be better if it was, like, her writing and, like, the words, and then, like, him writing and then, like, the words. Well, it's to the moon, so I guess it's typing.
It's through email, so it wouldn't.
It's through email.
Be writing.
That
wouldn't
but
work out.
No, whatever. But so that would be really easy to do. But no, I thought that I think that it could be easily framed into a movie if they wanted to. I think that it's more than clearly on par with The Martian. When it comes to just, like, there's the high drama, and there's the comedy, and there's the action, and it's got all the stuff. It has the morality play of classic sci-fi, which is kind of a big deal because a lot of modern science fiction, especially, like, television consumable or movie consumable science fiction, is more along the lines of Star Wars, where it's like space opera-y or space drama-y, and it doesn't have any of the science, and it doesn't have any of the moral, like, backbone that traditional science fiction or classical science fiction has. And I think this had that. She has moral dilemmas in this. People do amoral things in this, and there are consequences for it. It is phenomenally well written, and Rosario Dawson did a fucking phenomenal job when it comes to reading it. It was really, really good. There were some great characters. Again, we're, like, no spoils right now, but, like, Svoboda is a fantastical character.
The whole thing. He's the best. He's
the president's a fantastical character. We're not describing nothing about these characters. We're just saying whether or not they're good characters.
There's a bartender.
There's a bartender who's a great character.
Her dad.
Yeah, her dad
is a very complex character.
Yeah, and her interactions between herself and her dad are part of
Yeah.
that classic science fiction morality play, like the youth, the younger generation versus the older generation,
Yeah.
and things like that. Because she's 25 in the book.
Something like that.
She's like in her
Yeah.
mid-20s or some shit like that.
Yeah.
She's been on the moon since she was like 6.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, her pen pal is a good character. You don't ever really get to hear him from first person other than the emails, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good. There's a lot of like supporting cast characters. There's
a lot.
Unfortunately, we didn't plan on taking notes when we were listening to this, so we don't necessarily know everyone's name. So
But
they're
you
just
listen,
dudes.
you read the book, and then you listen to this, and then you understand everything that we're saying. So that's fine. Like, listen. What I want you to do is watch this, and then we said it's great, so fucking read it, and then come back to this and watch the spoiler part. It's like it's super simple. Yeah, no, yeah.
There's
just
there's
fucking I don't know, add it to a list or something. However the fuck people save a thing that they need to watch later. I don't know how you do that on YouTube because I just watch it, spoilers and all. So, I don't care about spoilers. That's not a thing to me anymore. The internet spoils everything almost instantaneously. It's great.
It does.
But yeah, no, it's really good. They do a lot of the like reminding you they're on the moon thing, which is the same thing they did on Mars when he's just like, "Oh, it would be great if I could just do this, but I'm on fucking Mars, so I can't. I guess we're going to have to do this like 10,000 step complex thing to like send a letter home or like repair a hole, like that kind of thing." They do similar stuff where she's like, "Oh no, there's this, there's this thing happening," and she's like, "But we're on the moon where gravity's 1/6 of Earth, so I guess I'm just gonna jump 40 feet into the air or like throw a dude or whatever the fuck, so it's like it has that. There are times when you kind of like, I wouldn't go so far as to say like you forget they're on the moon, but you sort of forget the ramifications of being on the moon, and just about when you're starting to forget those ramifications, something happens, and you're like, "Oh, they're on the moon."
Yeah, I forgot
can't-
they're on the moon.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is they don't like jam it down your throat either. They really do a good job of building this world where you're on the moon and making it believable and not too fantastical. So it's not too sciencey.
They really
It's not
don't
too
have
fantastical.
anything more
It's
advanced than what we currently have.
Very practical.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting take because a lot of science fiction puts you in space and you're living on another planet and there's all kinds of like crazy weird technology, and there's really not.
There's no
it's
technology
very
that we
simple
don't
and very basic, and it
currently
seems
have.
very achievable to what we currently are.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't actively know what year the book takes place in, but it's like pre-2100.
No, they don't say. Maybe they do. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's like we finished reading the book like a week ago.
Yeah.
And we've been meaning to do this, and then like Thanksgiving was a thing, and like we were going to shoot it last night, but then the family came over to watch Game of Thrones, and I would rather exist than
Just
record,
been
so
a little lazy.
yeah.
So
But that's fine, whatever. Yeah, I think it takes place like before 2100, so it's like within 100 years of now, or whatever.
Yeah.
So no, it's totally acceptable amounts of technology, so I'm okay with that. So we're gonna move into spoilers, and we're just gonna really quickly talk about like the spoilery things. So like, spoiler warning, I'm probably not gonna edit this, so you
stop
fucking
listening now.
deal with that shit on yourself.
Now.
All right, so full spoilers. Svoboda is legitimately the best character of all time, and them making out at the end was the best part ever.
Oh my god, I really wanted it to be like, and we finally got to use this fancy space condom.
Yeah, fancy space condom. Hilarious. It comes with a self-washing kit, and I'm just like, like, listen, I'm a smart man. I understand the science there. I'm not gonna risk it. I'm just gonna buy a box of condoms. Seems way fucking easier. But yeah, Svoboda's honestly amazing, and his character arc's great
because he's there for her. He's there for her in that like friend zoned way, but you don't realize that he's friend zoned at first.
Yeah,
and then as time goes on, he becomes less and less friend zoned. But like he's there for her, and they have these ongoing jokes, and it's just he's a really delightful character.
Yeah,
to kind of be around.
Yeah, definitely.
And so is the bartender guy who's constantly trying to like
reconstitute
make alcohol
so
in space, but you can't do it the same way. So they're all awful.
You can make alcohol in space, and you can do it the same way. He's trying to cheat, right? Fermenting and distillation, all of those things would still work in space. That's fine. The problem is that he's extracting ethanol from an alcohol to have a powder shipped and then put ethanol back in it. And I mean, I work for a brewery. That doesn't sound like a thing that would work at fucking all. Also, they make powdered alcohol right now. You just add water, and it's a powder, and that is not safe. Don't ever buy it. It's sold to hikers, like backpackers, who are like, I want a beer when I get to the end of my hike, so I'm gonna carry this like little bag of powder and then pour water into it,
an emergency,
and then shake it up and drink it, and it tastes just like beer. But what I've read online and the people that I've talked to, it doesn't taste like beer. They're lying.
Sounds awful.
So
Have you had any?
You can't reconstitute hooch. Facts. So that's what that is. I enjoyed that because I knew about the like hikers dehydrated beer thing
I did not
beforehand, and I'm just like, there's no way that's gonna be good, and it was never good, and it was the best. She has like a friend who they're like she's sour at, and he's like, we should be friends again. Remember when we used to be friends? Because he's gay and he stole her boyfriend.
But she was like super in love with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And
it's
she
amazing.
like caught them cheating.
Yeah,
and then
it's
you don't
amazing.
ever get to meet the boyfriend. You only get to meet the friend who stole said boyfriend.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. And then there's this guy, because there's EVA suits. Those are suits you go out into space in. And she's trying to join one of these like guilds where that's like the thing that they do, and they get paid for it, like a carpenter's union or whatever. And there's the guy who runs this EVA guild union thing, and he's like this stoic marine kind of guy, like real by the book. And it's a very interesting character because he's so polar opposite of how Jazz, our main character, is. It's always really interesting when he gets in there because he in a way is very similar to like a dad figure for her, and she has a dad,
who's a great character, by the way.
But this guy makes a really interesting juxtaposition to her characters, not just because of what happens in the story, but also because of how his personality is so different from hers. She's very rebellious and fiery and mischievous, and she's a smuggler. She's like Lady Han Solo on the moon, and she's just kind of like blazing her own trail, forging her own path, making all of these sort of clandestine
bad decisions. She's making bad decisions. They're not clandestine. They're bad. Everybody knows about them. She gets caught constantly. She's a bad smuggler.
Who's the cop? There's only one cop in this city in the moon.
And he's a Mountie, which is hilarious.
And he's a Mountie, and he wears a Mountie uniform.
But Han Solo's also kind of a bad smuggler, so it still works. He kind of is, I guess, But smuggled that lightsaber blade in his chest. What's up?
Oh,
it's not too soon. Fuck that guy.
It's definitely there's also a like uber rich tech Norwegian or Swedish or Finnish.
I think he's Norwegian.
I think he was Norwegian.
Yeah, like a Norwegian. He's like the Norwegian billionaire who lives there, who like she smuggles cigars for, and he's the cause of all the stuff. Obviously, because if you're listening to this, you've probably already read it. Because spoilers, we talked about this already. But he's a really good character, and his death was a huge shock.
Yeah,
right.
I was not expecting that.
His daughter, like, was just like, oh, like I'm this like you find out that the only reason why he's on the moon is so his daughter can fucking walk, because his daughter got some kind of
she was
spinal
in an accident,
shit. Yeah,
and she was like paralyzed.
Yeah,
but I guess
from the
she
waist
can
down.
Sort of walk on the moon.
Yeah, she can. Well, she can walk on
like the
crutches. Yeah. Like arm crutches or whatever those are called.
Yeah,
but he's a really good character. She goes through a huge arc that is absolutely fantastic. I think the president's one of the best characters. The president of the moon. The president. I'm sorry. It's like the mayor or the fucking. They got a dumb name for it if I remember correctly. But it's the president. Just go with president.
Moon president.
It's moon president. Yeah.
Was good. One of the things that was interesting is the moon time is in Kenya. So
that's because all of the ships launch from Kenya.
No, I know why.
So also moon time should be Greenwich Mean Time because everything in space is done on Greenwich Mean Time. I imagine Andy Weir knows this. It was just weird to me that they kept using Kenyan time.
Oh, I thought it was cool.
Space time is Greenwich Mean. We've always done it that way. As far as I'm aware, we've always done it. If I'm wrong, let me know.
The moon right now, so the time is Kenya time, and everything has to do. Kenya plays a very big role there because the moon base is essentially fixed and facing Kenya all the time. So just kind of like
no. So it's because theoretically Elon Musk wants to build a moon base. America is not going to let him build massive factories and massive launch sites without all kinds of like taxes and shit like that. Uncle Sam likes his dollars. So Kenya, the president of Kenya at the time, who becomes the moon president, by the way, the president or whatever, prime minister of Kenya at the time is like, hey, like we'll just give it to you. Like, how does a dollar sound? $1 in taxes? We can do $1 in taxes. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. High fives all around. We're going to build a spaceport. So they build the spaceports and the factories, and everything is built in Kenya, which is exactly how that would work, by the way.
Yeah.
If America decides to put their foot down, SpaceX bounces to another fucking country, and we're out a shitload of money. That's dumb, but that's what would happen. So you can't stop progress. So that's why everything's based out of Kenya, is because Kenya gave the subsidies, and Kenya became the spaceport. And of course, once you build a spaceport, you don't build a second spaceport. It doesn't make sense. It's not efficient. So, and they get launches, like, they get ships to arrive, like, every week or so, like, once a week or something.
And she's able to do all the smuggling because her pen pal friend from childhood works at the packing base for the rockets. So she does all the smuggling. She meets Space Elon Musk. And Space Elon Musk, she smuggles cigars and other oddities. And then he's like, hey, I got this super cool idea, and it's, like, hyper illegal, but I'll give you a bunch of moon money, which they call slugs. Yeah. And it's not equivalent to a US dollar at all.
It is equivalent to the cost of lifting like 1 ounce of material from the Earth to the moon.
So,
or something fucking highly stupid like that. It makes the most amount of sense. Once you become a multiplanetary society, independent money and resources essentially become useless.
But what matters is back on Earth.
What matters is the cost of movement of mass between those things. Like, mass becomes money, right? This is the same thing with like Star Trek's replicators. That's why they have no money, because once you can produce something out of nothing, then nothing has value. It's the same thing. It's actually a really intelligent insight that Andy Weir puts into his book that he like throwaway line explains, and you're like, that's dope. Let's talk about that. But they don't.
They didn't need to talk about it.
It would have been interesting.
I felt like that was
economics.
It's interesting. It wasn't a book about economics.
The whole reason why the president is. It's 100% a book about economics. It's just, you know.
That's the twist.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, the twist is that it's all about economics in the end.
I don't know if it's a twist if the president says it out loud.
It was a twist.
It's all about economics.
I didn't expect it coming.
Really?
We get all to the end, and so the Norwegian guy, he's like, "Hey, I got this super hyper illegal thing I want you to do. I want you to go and sabotage this company's like moon rovers."
Sanchez Aluminum's rovers, because they produce oxygen for the moon.
Yeah. So he wants her to go and sabotage these, and she just botches it in the most majestic of ways.
Her idea's pretty
smart,
Her idea is
good, and it's solid, but it's botched.
Yeah.
Through, in the most majestic and epic of ways. And she totally gets caught. And then it's like, I didn't do that thing that, like, I clearly, obviously did.
Yeah, she's just lucky she has friends because she grew up there since she was, like, 6.
And in the beginning, you thought that's all there was, right? She's just gonna sabotage the thing so Space Elon Musk can go, and Space Elon Musk can control all the oxygen trade, and then he corners the market, and he makes a bunch more money, right? So that's pretty much all it is. And then you realize that the mob is after him because Sanchez Aluminum are all mobsters. So now it kind of turns into like a mobster book. And you're like, oh my god, so now there's these mobs, and she's trying to survive, and there's like these space moon fights.
Sanchez Aluminum's based out of Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you go through all these, like, mob kind of encounters where there's mob people coming after and there's, like, mafia and stuff like that. It's fascinating because it really switched gears. And then she's like, well, I still have to finish the original job I was doing of sabotaging these moon rovers. So then she gets all of her friends together in, like, a bar scene that is so Ocean's 11... Boondock Saints, where you're just like, how are you all in the same room? And they all figure out this really intricate plan, and then the plan plays out, and you find out in the end from the president that all of this isn't the mob. It isn't controlling the oxygen. It's about trying to keep the economy of the moon going, because it's so expensive to get there. It's so expensive to live there that once the initial boom happened and everybody moved there and they created all the things, now the things are made, they have a bunch of people, they're not really getting a lot of money in the economy. Like, yeah, there's tourism, but it costs a lot of money, so it's not really worth it. So it turns into this really interesting twist of it's actually economics, and the president is puppeting, essentially, or placing a blind eye to all of these things. And I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, totally. Also, so a couple of missed things. The Norwegian, doesn't care about oxygen production or aluminum production. The most important thing is the silicone byproduct of producing. So when they smelt aluminum to make fucking aluminum, when they smelt regolith to produce aluminum, they have two byproducts: silicone, which they just fucking throw away, right? And then oxygen, which they give back to the city. They essentially, the president needed a company to do this. This Brazilian chick had a great idea, so she had the Brazilian mafia back her with a shitload of money to start up this base on the moon, or to start up this smelting operation on the moon. But they have a lifetime guarantee. As long as they keep producing oxygen for the moon, they can do whatever the fuck they want over there at their smelters. What the Norwegian's friend, the guy from China, does
Jinshu.
Yeah,
that's the name I remember.
Is he found a way to produce fiber optic cables that have no drop off in signal strength. So it's like a perfect transmitter of light, which probably can't exist at all. But so it's all about that. The reason why he wants in on it is because who cares about the oxygen and who cares about the metal or any of that kind of stuff? We need the silicone, and we need a place that has very, very low gravity to produce this special kind of a thing. Because it's like, oh yeah, like the moon's going to be great, and I can make a bunch of money selling like oxygen and aluminum and shit like that, moon rocks and crap. But what would be great is if I can replace Earth's entire infrastructure, which is worth like $400 quadrillion or whatever. All right. And you don't need a repeater station anymore, which means that if you buy my shit from the moon, which would cost a fortune, you don't have to waste any money on electrical repeater stations. You don't have to waste any money to man those, any server farms or any of that kind of stuff. So it's like this sort of like perfect economic ideal or whatever. And so the president realizes quite early on, it's clear by the end of the book that she's been aware of all of this from the get-go. Whatever, there's like 6,000 people on the moon. She knows everything.
There's 2,000 people on the moon.
Was it only 2,000?
2,000 people. They mention it multiple times throughout the book.
Whatever.
Yeah. So it's not a big town.
No, of course not.
Everyone knows everyone, and there's literally one cop.
Yeah,
who's also a Mountie.
He's a Mountie cop. He's Canadian.
He wears the Mountie uniform.
Yeah.
In fact.
He doesn't have a horse though.
No, my God, that would be amazing. What if he had a horse on the moon?
I don't think horses could handle that.
But what if?
No. I think horses are real stupid. I don't think they could handle walking in 1/6 G. They would just jump around. It would just die. But so she realizes that having an economy based solely on motherfuckers coming here to spend money is not a sound way of running a country, essentially. But having an export-based economy where we're selling shit that we produce in-house is a significantly more efficient, way of doing it. So that's that whole like economic side of things. I did not find it a twist, but it was good. It was obvious when he was just like, oh, it's the thing has zero impedance and it can transmit forever, and I'm just like, all right, well, that answers 100% of the questions. Now we don't care about that. Let's focus on the characters, since they're the important part anyway. But that's fine.
Yeah.
It was still absolutely fantastic. But let's see. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was her relationship with her dad. So she is like Iranian and something else.
She's from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Arabian. That's what it is.
The welders are essentially Saudis. It's not a racist thing.
All of the different crafts are like a different race of people.
And not because of racism, but because, like, one guy gets in, and then he brings all of his friends and family in, and they bring all their friends and family, and all their friends, and all their friends, and it just kind of continues on in, like, this sort of large fractal. So it's not that you can't have
it was like the Chinese run the air cleaning
stuff,
and all that kind of stuff, and the Saudi Arabia, the Saudis ran the welding. And
there's other people who run.
I think America ran the EVA stuff and things like that. It's really like the least important part of the book, but it's interesting. It lets you kind of follow paths a little faster in the book. But her dad is like very traditional Muslim, and she's not. You know, she's like young and rebellious and doesn't want to practice the family's religion and all that kind of crap. And so there's a lot of kind of like religious back and forth between the two of them, and they have like a very strained relationship and stuff like that. Her dad produces like a ramp, and it's one of those like throwaway lines. It's really short, but that I felt had a lot of weight in the book. So he built this like aluminum ramp with like clips on it, to point him at Mecca's location from the moon. So he's actually pointing at it when he decides. So it's like a ramp with like a clip on it, and you can like sit on the ramp, and it got like straps
as opposed to just
hold you down.
It on the ground where you are in whatever direction.
She says that normally all of the Muslims on the moon, they just face lunar east.
Yeah. Right?
Like traditional. But her dad decided to like invent or whatever, and it has literally nothing to do with the story. This thing that allows him to actually pray to Mecca and not just to lunar east. And it's really interesting to see, like, so he's really the only person that's like religious in the story, and he's really not pressuring about it, and how he's like trying to kind of keep it alive and make sure that they're doing it right and all this kind of stuff. And his daughter, Jazz, who's our main character, just fucking doesn't care about any of it. Like, just not even like 0%. One time she's like, I know stuff about my people. I'm going to wear the disguise that makes me look like a Saudi Arabian woman.
Not a good disguise
and then
at all.
The cops like, a Saudi woman wouldn't have taken the seat when it was offered up to you on the train. I know it's you. And like in her head, she's like, son of a bitch.
And a couple
really should have listened to Dad when he said stuff. Like, it was kind of funny because like her religion played almost no part in her character development, but it was that like she thinks she's better than everybody, and anytime she's talking about her people or her religion, she's really like dumb. She's outsmarted by like Americans and fucking Kenyans and shit like that got nothing to do with her people and religion, who are just like, no, that's not a Saudi thing. You just fucking made that up. You're dumb. Yeah. Which is funny to me that, you know, she's all like holier than thou. I'm fucking badass, and she's fucking terrible at her own people and her own history.
I really like. Yeah. So in space, all the food is called gloop or goop. Gloop or goop?
No.
It's gloop or goop.
Gax.
Glaps.
Whatever.
Okay. The food is gloop. So in space, obviously they're importing some food, but it's all algae that's grown on the moon. And one of the things that I thought was interesting was kind of like a throwaway spot where it's like she is talking about how it's all gross. Like you can do it without any flavor, and that's fine. But it's all gross. That's what everyone eats because that's the cheapest thing, unless you're like some sort of hotty-totty rich person.
Yeah, who can like afford
and one of the interesting things that I thought that she had mentioned is that the goop is awful if you have it try to taste like something. So they said like
earth food.
Yeah, like earth food. So they had like tikka masala goop, and she's like, oh, that's one of the best, but it's all awful. You don't want goop that tastes like a hamburger or something like that. You want recipe number 57.
It was like Mary's recipe like number 57 or whatever, and she's like, that's pretty good because it's that idea that it's like, if we try to take this block of tofu and make it taste like a Thanksgiving dinner, it's gonna taste fucking gross.
Because it's not gonna taste like a Thanksgiving dinner.
If we take this block of tofu, or like algae gloop, right, and then we just add flavors that are good to it, and don't try to make it taste like anything, just add good tasting stuff, it's good.
Yeah.
Fucking obviously.
Yeah.
But it's really great just how much she hates genuinely eating.
Which I can't really say I'd blame her because of the way that she describes goop in the book. It sounds pretty awful. Like, I think it's like a porridge and you just kind of eat it with a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make more sense if it was served in a like a bar.
Like a gel. They have it in bars. Because when she slept in his bed and he slept on the floor.
Oh, he did leave a bar gloop or whatever the fuck. Yeah. The bar just seems like it'd be more efficient. And that's another one of those like I was thinking like there's a lot of that little he jumped out of a 10-story window. He died, but we're on the moon, so everything's tight.
See, I picture in goop like it's the consistency of that
it's like rice pudding or porridge.
Of like bean paste, but it's like in a cube, and you have to like eat the cube like slice and chew and slice and eat and slice and eat. That's how it is in my head. It's like those bean paste cubes you get at the Asian Mart.
Yeah. See, for some reason I always thought it was like fruit leather.
Why would it be fruit leather?
Because that's that's the easiest consistency to turn like just plant garbage.
I feel like algae leather would be pretty gross.
Isn't that just what seaweed is naturally?
Actually, no, never mind, because I like those nori seaweed snacks.
And isn't algae leather just seaweed? you just fucking learned a thing about seaweed, probably. Either way, this has been fucking incredibly long. So, yeah, go read the book. If you're still listening and you haven't read the book, you're a fucking idiot. As I've said on several occasions when we talk about spoilers and stuff. But, that's fine. Whatever.
So, read it.
And if you have already read it, what do you think? Comment below. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
What are you reading?
What are you currently reading? If you have any recommendations for new books, I read a lot of classic books. And, there's some new books. I just read Croak. That was interesting.
We listen to a lot of audiobooks.
We listen to a lot of audiobooks, But, if there's any books that you think would be interesting, let us know. Comment below. I don't know if we were supposed to mention it at the head or not. But this is part of the Philip. The only reason we found out about this book is because Philip DeFranco talked about it.
That's not true. I knew about it.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah, I get the Audible emails and I know what books are coming out.
Oh no,
because I'm that
awful.
kind of nerd.
Ugh.
It's awesome.
Audible's really technically crap. I feel like it's overpriced, and
it fulfills a need.
We just don't know it yet.
And I have a need.
But anyway, this is part of that Philip DeFranco book club thing. So
we've actually read all of the Philip DeFranco book club books, and we just kind of forget to do the video.
Or we finish a book just about when he puts out his actual book club thing, and it's like this. It's great. We're late.
Because when he does the book, we were like, "Oh man, I was planning on reading this this huge book," and then it's like, "Oh, we have to fit this smaller book in. Where does it go?" Yeah,
but either way, Again, like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us on the social things. That'll probably be below, and let us know what you think.
Yeah,
do that thing. All right. Either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. This has been Review Jive, or whatever I call these. I always forget.
Nerd Review. Review Jive?
Almost certain it's Review Jive, but it's not important. It'll come out in editing. So either way, I'll see you guys later.